BNP, engaged in spreading falsehood, cannot speak of democracy, comments Ubaidul Qadir. Two-day cultural festival for Awakening Rallies starts in 64 districts from tomorrow. Capital experienced season's hottest day as temperature rose to 37.6 degrees. An Israeli parliament adopts bill recognizing country Jewish nation state. Assalamu alaikum. This is news at 10 on BTV and BTV Chittagong Center. I am Shahid Hassan, welcoming you all.
And I'm Shamim Khan. Those were the headlines. We now move on to the news in details. The results of this year's Higher Secondary Certificate HSC, Alim, HSC Vocational, HSC Business Management and Diploma in Business Studies TIBS examination were published today. Education Minister Nurul Islam Nahid handed over a summary of the results to Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at Gonu Bhavan this morning. Later, chairmen of 10 education boards handed over the results of the respective board to the Prime Minister. 66.64% students came out successfully in this year's HSC and equivalent examinations, 2.27% less than that of the last year. Addressing the function, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina said, education sector continued to receive highest budgetary allocation as her government envisages an educated nation for the country's advancement in all fronts. The government allocates highest budget to education sector and took steps for diversification of education to build up country's huge population as human resources, she said. The Premier said Bangladesh entered into an advanced scientific arena, launching Bangabandhu satellite and establishing nuclear power plants. But the country now needed huge competent manpower for running the state-of-art installations. Sheikh Hasina said the incumbent government was working to make compatible the education system to world standard so the next generation could move keeping pace with other countries. The Premier expressed her hope that new generation would devote them in studies, taking advantage of the government created facilities and groom them up as competent citizens. The function was also addressed by Education Minister Nurul Islam Nahid, State Minister for Madrasa and Technical Education Division Qazi Ramat Ali and Secretary of the Higher Secondary Education Division Sohrab Hussain. Principal Secretary Muhammad Mujibur Rahman conducted the program, which was connected with Netrokona district through video conferencing. The results of Higher Secondary Certificate HSC and equivalent examinations were published today with an average pass percentage of 66.64. A total of 29,262 students scored GPA 5 among around 13,11,457 appeared in the exams. Education Minister Nurul Islam Nahid said this at a press briefing at the Secretariat in Dhaka today. Education Minister said nobody raised any question about the examination this year, even nobody spreaded any rumor. He further said that the number of applicants is increasing while reducing dropout. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has expressed a firm optimism that the Election Commission, taking all stakeholders, including various political parties with it, would be able to conduct free, neutral and fair national elections to be held by the end of the year. The Prime Minister expressed optimism when visiting German Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Niels Annan called on her at Gonu Bhavan today. After the call-on, Prime Minister's Press Secretary Ehsanul Karim briefed newsmen. Sheikh Hasina said the Election Commission is now an absolutely independent institution and it has conducted nearly 6,000 elections, including the elections to union councils, municipality, mayoral and other elections like the by-elections since 2014 in a fair manner. During the call-on, the Prime Minister extended her invitation through the Minister to German Chancellor Angela Merkel to visit Bangladesh. At the meeting, the visiting German Minister of State assured the Prime Minister of continuing his country's support for the Rohingya refugees who took shelter at Cox's Bazar, saying it is a huge pressure for Bangladesh. The German minister also apprised the Prime Minister of the MOU signed between the two countries on introducing e-passport in the country. President Mohammed Abdul Hamid has returned home from London after medical checkup and treatment of eyes. A VVIP flight of Biman Bangladesh Airlines carrying the President landed at Hazrat Shah Jalal International Airport this morning. Industries Minister Amir Hussain Amu, Commerce Minister Tofal Ahmed, Dean of the Diplomatic Corps, British High Commissioner to Bangladesh, Chiefs of the Three Services, Inspector General of Police, Secretaries and high civil and military officials received the President at the airport. President Mohammed Abdul Hamid went to London for medical checkup on July the 7th.
Awami League General Secretary Obaidul Qadir has said, in the name of democracy, BNP leaders are resorting to falsehood in an undemocratic language. So advocacy for democracy does not suit for them, he added. The Awami League General Secretary said this while addressing a meeting of Awami League and its associate organizations subcommittees on discipline on the occasion of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's civic reception at Sohrawardi Uddan in the capital today. Awami League Joint General Secretaries Mahbubul Alam Hanif and Jahangir Gobi Nanak, Office Secretary Dr. Abdul Subhan Gulab and State Minister for Textiles and Jute Mirza Azam were present among others. Giving direction to the party leaders about making the civic reception to Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina on 21st July a success, Obaidul Qadir said Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina deserves the civic reception as she has taken Bangladesh to a unique height in the arena. The minister said this civic reception will be a grandest occasion ever in country's history after independence. JASH President and Information Minister Hassan al-Haq Ino has said BNP do not believe in democracy and election. They always try to find ways to foil election for saving Khaleda Zia or criminals, militants and fire terrorists. He said this while addressing an anti-drugs and anti-militancy rally of Dhaka West City Jashod at Mirpur 1 in the capital today. Darussalam Thana Jashod President Haji Abdus Salam chaired the rally, which was also addressed by former Jashod Chhatra League President Shamsul Islam Shuman, Jashod Standing Committee members Nadir Chaudhry, Nurul Akhtar and Mir Hussain Akhtar and General Secretary Shirin Akhtar MP. Hassan al-Haq Ino claimed that BNP is trying to create abnormal situation in the country, giving impracticable and unconstitutional condition for Khaleda Zia's release. He said only honest and capable persons will do politics in future. The government inked an agreement with Germany to introduce e-passports for the country's citizens to strengthen security and prevent fraudulence. Bangladesh and Germany signed a deal on government-to-government arrangement for e-passports following the government's decision to issue electronic passports alongside the machine-readable passport (MRP). Director General of Department of Immigration and Passports Major General M. Masood Rizwan and Chief Executive Officer of VEDOS Hans Wolfgang Kunz signed the deal on behalf of the respective sides at Bangabandhu International Conference Center in the capital today. Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal attended the signing ceremony as the chief guest, while German State Minister for Foreign Affairs Niels Einen witnessed it. Speaking on the occasion, Asaduzzaman Khan Kamal said the government is materializing the digital Bangladesh with the introduction of e-passports. He said the MRPs would also be continued until the launching of the e-passports. Among others, Secretary of Security Service Fariduddin Ahmed Chaudhry and officials concerned were present in the signing ceremony. European Union asked Myanmar for the safe and voluntary return of Rohingyas from Bangladesh. Managing Director for Asia and the Pacific at European External Action Service, Gunnar Wihand, made the remark today while talking to reporters at State Guest House after the third diplomatic consultations between Bangladesh and the EU. The EU diplomat said they will continue to support Rohingyas to ease burden on Bangladesh and expect that other countries will also come forward. In the meeting, both sides discussed a wide range of issues of common interest, including political and developments on both sides. Issues relating to migration, peace and security and Agenda 2030 were also discussed. Foreign Secretary M. Shahidul Haq and his EU counterpart Gunnar Wihand led Bangladesh and EU sides respectively in the meeting. They agreed to continue to work closely with the international community, particularly at the UN and other international forums, with a view to create conducive environment in the northern Rakhine state so that the Rohingya can return in safety and security to their ancestral homes in Myanmar. Meanwhile, a human rights group has documented the Myanmar military's early preparations for its violence against Rohingya Muslims. The independent Fortified Rights Group said today that it found the army systematically confiscated knives and other sharp-edged tools and forced Rohingya families to remove protective fencing from around their homes as early as 2016.
Now, international news. Israel's parliament, Knesset, passed into law a controversial bill today that defines the country as an exclusively Jewish state. The legislation was passed into by a vote of 62 in favor, 55 against, and 2 abstentions. The Jewish nation-state bill downgrades Arabic as an official language and says advancing Jewish settlement is a national interest. It also states that the whole and united Jerusalem is its capital. Israeli Arab MPs condemned the legislation, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu praised it as a defining moment. The Turkish government has ended the nationwide state of emergency that was imposed 2 years ago after a failed coup attempt. The measure, which normally lasts 3 months but was extended 7 times, ended today after the government decided not to ask for an 8th extension. The decision comes weeks after President Recep Tayyip Erdogan won re-election. Erdogan declared the emergency on July 20, 2016, 5 days after warplanes bombed Ankara and bloody clashes broke out in Istanbul in a doomed push bid that claimed 249 lives. The state of emergency saw tens of thousands of people arrested or dismissed from their jobs. The White House has insisted it believes Russia still poses a threat to the U.S. amid confusion over comments made by President Donald Trump. Trump appeared to disagree with U.S. intelligence when he responded no to a question about whether Russia was still targeting American elections. Later, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said Trump was saying no to answering more questions. It comes amid a flurry of criticism over Trump's recent comments about Russia.
A 5-member delegation led by Minister of State at the German Federal Foreign Office Nils Einen paid a courtesy call with Foreign Minister Abul Hassan Mahmoud Ali at the State Guest House Podda in the capital today. During the call they discussed on different issues relating to their bilateral interest. Ambassador of Bangladesh to Germany Imtiaz Ahmed and high officials of Foreign Ministry are present during the call-on. A 2-day countrywide cultural festival will begin tomorrow. The theme of the festival is Srijini Unnayane Bangladesh, Bangladesh in Creativity and Development. Cultural Affairs Ministry organized the festival at 64 districts simultaneously across the country to rejuvenate traditional culture along the people, especially the youths. Documentaries on Prime Minister's 10 special initiatives and pro-people development works of the government will be screened at the cultural festival. Besides, local artists will perform on the occasion. Now news and weather. The capital experienced the hottest day of the year in mid-monsoon today, while mercury rises to 37.5 degrees Celsius in temperature meter. City dwellers felt the heat due to presence of more humidity in atmosphere. Meanwhile, Met Office in its weather forecast said light to moderate rain or thunder showers accompanied by temporary gusty or squall wind and lightning flashes is likely to occur at some places across the country in the next 24 hours. A few places over Khulna, Borishal, Chattogram, Dhaka, Rangpur, Rajshahi, Mymensingh and Sylhet divisions may see light to moderate rain and moderately heavy falls during the same time.
Now news on sports. Sri Lanka A team beat Bangladesh A team by 67 runs in the second ODI of the three-match series in Sylhet. Chasing the victory target of 276 runs, Bangladesh A team were all out on 208 runs in 44 overs 3 balls. Earlier, Sri Lanka A team batted first and scored 275 runs for all in 49 overs 4 balls. The series are levelling by 1-1. And now to end the bulletin, a recap of the top stories. HSC and equivalent exam results published with average pass rate 66.64%. Wish to build educated nation capable of taking the country forward, says Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, receiving HSC results. President Mohammed Abdul Hamid returns home after health check in London. BNP engaged in spreading falsehood cannot speak of democracy, comments Obaidul Qadir. 2-day cultural festival for awakening values starts in 64 districts from tomorrow. Capital experienced season's hottest day as temperature rose to 37.6 degrees. An Israeli parliament adopts bill recognizing country Jewish nation state.
That's all from the newsroom for the moment. Thank you for staying with us, and we invite you to watch our 11:30